Now, I can't say it's full of part-time, but you do have.
Just that much. I know. Shetty. Shetty.
Oh, okay.
Do you?
No. No, I don't know how to do it, but it's okay. Say that, so. You want to be on the communication committee? Oh, wow.
Yeah. Well, Mom was in the hospital called. And she's been there for 5 days. And you didn't get to call.
And I
her.
just there.
I got kids still living. So you could call now.
Right.
I mean, I had 7, 5 girls, 2 boys. My oldest South Carolina. He's going to get his job transferred, but he's going to be moving to Atlanta.
Okay.
My other son.
Oh.
Yeah. One.
No. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's about to begin.
Same thing with a brother, John. He will be.
Yeah, now
You know, she had 2 girls.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to call the special City of Benton Harbor Commission meeting to order. I'd like to begin with an invocation by Missionary and Fort Ward Commissioner Harrelson, to be led by the Pledge of Allegiance by our Commissioner at Large, Commissioner Singleton.
Thank you, Lord, for your loving kindness. Thank you for your tender mercy. Bless this meeting on tonight. Bless each and everyone that's here on tonight in a special way. This we ask in your name. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Adams,
Present.
Commissioner Edwards,
Present.
Commissioner Harrelson,
Here.
Commissioner Henderson, Commissioner Henry,
Present.
Commissioner Isom,
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem deceased, Commissioner Singleton,
Present.
Mayor Muhammad.
Present. This brings us to our public participation or citizens' comments. Each participant is granted a maximum of 3 minutes. You can register with the city clerk for those who would like to participate. If there are none, we will proceed to our interview of the city manager that's serving in the interim at this current time, which is Mr. Ellis Mitchell. E. Mitchell. Each city council member should have received and have in your packet the credentials of Mr. Mitchell, his work history as an administrator in the professional realm. You do have also a list of interview questions, which we will have a round robin method where each council person will ask the question of the candidate and he will respond in kind. So I'd like to start with the candidate introducing himself. Is the mic working?
Yes.
And then we'll proceed. Our 4th Ward Commissioner Harrelson will begin our questioning with the question number 1 to proceed, or after, pardon me, the interim manager's introduction. You have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the commission in the audience. I've been wondering how you looked from the other side, so now I see. I want to say that I am Ellis Mitchell, and I have been serving as your interim city manager for the past 6 months today. And I'm glad to have this opportunity. I've enjoyed the work. I've enjoyed what we've been doing, and I'm ready to continue to really doing what we need to do.
Thank you, sir. I yield the floor to Commissioner Harrelson.
How would you characterize your style of management? And how do you relate to employees, department heads, board, the council, and general public?
My management style is participatory management. I believe that everybody working is here to be paid and do a job, and I let them do it. If they don't know how to do it, I'm a teacher, so I will help them. But I give people full reign to do their job. I work with the commission, I work with staff, I work with boards, and anyone else basically the same way. I treat people like I want to be treated.
Thank you.
Commissioner Henry.
What conditions would you set up for receiving the appointment as a leader?
Can you repeat that, please?
What conditions will you set up if you're accepting this position to organize the body?
What conditions will I set up? to organize the body, you're talking about the
The
commission?
council, yes.
First thing I want to do is have a retreat. I want to sit down with you. Really, actually, I've done the first part of it, and the first thing that one needs to do is make sure that I know each of you commissioners. And I've taken the time to do that. Now, we need to get to know each other more intimately, sitting down and making sure that we're on the same track where we want to take the city. That's the first thing that needs to happen.
Thank you.
I'd like to remind the council, if we could stick to the questions we have in front of us. We will have time after we exhaust these, if there are further questions or comments with the candidate. This brings us to number 2, Commissioner Evans.
Yes, good evening, Brother Mitchell. My question would be, I've seen it, I'm looking for it. If you want to pass that up, maybe I was looking for one.
You don't see one on the first page?
It was one that I wanted to see, but I'll actually just.
Well, each council,
Do you believe the city manager should be an active member of a service or fraternal organization?
Can you call that?
what number is that?
5.
So that's why I just asked if we could just follow the order. Each council person is gonna ask a separate question.
And that's not.
So the answer will be given.
She skipped the first page,
Mr.
but I'll go ahead though. Number 2.
Thank you, sir.
What do you perceive to be the city manager's role in working with the city council?
Critical. We have to know each other. We have to understand each other. We have to work together. The commission first is elected by the people. And the commission is what everybody looks at when they're looking at what's going on in a city. Businesses coming into your city are looking at you. They're not looking at me, the city manager. They're not looking at the staff first. They're looking at the city commission. The first thing we need to do is make sure that we're conducting business as business people, that we have, and show the public that we've done our jobs, that we have taken what is put before us, we've read it, we've vetted it, and then we're coming out with as one, not faction all the time.
Thank you.
I'm gonna read the second part to 2. How do you view the role of the mayor and the city council in dealing with the city manager and the administration?
The charter says it all as far as how we should work with each other. This is a council manager form of government, commission manager form of government. It means that you set the policy, and by 5-4 vote, city manager exercises that mandate.
Mayor Pro Tem C.
Number 3 of 18 questions. This, based on your education, experience, background, what do you consider your strengths in dealing with municipal problems?
Very strong. I've been doing it so long, I better not be up here talking about I'm weak at that, very strong. Not just in education, but actually doing the work.
Commissioner Adams.
Thank you. Good evening,
Good evening.
interim city manager. In recognizing the limits of span of control in an organization, how and when do you delegate responsibility and authority?
From the beginning. Not only do I delegate, but the employees know that I delegate. They know that if it's in their realms, that they have the authority and the responsibility to do the work, to bring it back to me, and then be vetted before it goes out.
Thank you.
Commissioner Isom.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor. In your opinion, what role should the city manager have in the community?
Very, very, and I say very visible.
And do you believe the city manager should be active member of a service or a fraternal organization?
I think a city manager should do just about what any other person does. That's whatever you want to do. I don't belong to such.
How do you deal with the news media?
That's a loaded question. I deal with the news media straight up, like I do with everything else. And when I say that, that means that I'm going to be straightforward. I'm going to be honest. I'm going to stay professional. But if it's news media, or if it's the little boy over here who's acting up, doing it the wrong way, I'm going to let him know.
Thank you.
Commissioner Singleton.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor. Mr. Interim Manager, have you had experience in labor negotiations?
Yes, I have.
Have you been at the bargaining table and been actively engaged in negotiations of contracts?
Yes, I have.
And have you had to go to mediation, fact finding, or arbitration?
No, I have not had to go because I negotiate better than that. Let me expound on that. I'm giving you short answers, trying to make you ask me more. But here's what I want to say about negotiation. Negotiation doesn't start at the table. Negotiation starts in what we do every day. Okay? It's whether people trust and believe in what you're saying. It's whether they know that what you're saying is real or not. And if people know that we have $1, they're not going to ask for $1.10. See what I'm saying? So what I do on my management team, I've asked each bargaining unit to have a person sit on my management team. I'm not hiding anything. We're trying to build a team to build a city. So I want them to know exactly what's coming. I want them to hear it from me and understand that they can come to me. You don't have to file a grievance to find out stuff. They can come to me.
Commissioner Harrelson.
Have you had to deal directly with personnel problem?
Oh, yes. People management is the hardest part of this job. Projects don't do anything but sit there and wait until you do something.
Have you ever had to discipline demote or fire an employee?
I have.
Want to expand on that?
I could, but I'd rather not, other than to say, it is not I who fired the employee. The employee fired himself.
Have you been involved in training or motivating employees?
Totally, absolutely. It is absolutely a part necessary, absolutely the core. The employees are your number one asset. Not the buildings, not anything else, the employees.
Thank you.
Commissioner Henry?
I don't have any questions I want to answer off of this sheet. Thank you.
Commissioner Edwards?
8, are you familiar with state and federal laws relating to non-discrimination and equal opportunity?
I'm a black man, yes I am.
Have you had any experience in dealing with charges of discrimination or grievance filed against you or the city you have served?
No, I have not.
8C, have you been involved in developing personnel rules, regulations, and procedures?
Yes, I have.
Thank you.
What is your experience in the area of finance? Have you been involved directly in the mechanics of budget preparation? Were you the designated budget officer for your city? And did you present the budget to the city council?
I've never been the budget officer, but I've been the person in charge of it. I've done the work, familiar with budgets. I've created a number of budgets. And I'm gonna create one for you that you would like too. If I made your city manager.
Mayor Pro Tem Seats?
Have you administered various grant programs? Specifically, what programs have you administered with either state or federal grants?
Yes, I have. As a matter of fact, this is gonna date me, but it has to be said. The Community Development Block Grant became effective in 1974. And I worked in Model Cities in Richmond, California. And my Model Cities director was one of the top 4 in the country. We were so good at what we did, we were asked to edit the Community Development Block Grant Program.
74.
I was on that team in 73.
That's a blessing. Thank you.
Commissioner Adams?
Have you had experience in developing and recommending policies to city council relating to growth, such as annexation, expansion of utilities, subdivision standards, and et cetera?
Yes, I have.
To expound on it?
Yes, I sure will. That's critical because that's what we've got to do here. But do you know the first thing that the key to business attraction is what your businesses here think about what we're doing. If a person's gonna bring their business into the city, first thing they're gonna look at your commission. Then they wanna know what the other businesses think about what you do. So your business attraction program has to be led by what you are doing with your business community. That means that we have to get out, build relationships with the business community.
Thank you.
Commissioner Isom?
In the field of intergovernmental relations, what experience have you had in dealing with, this a rule, these councils of government, council of government, state agencies, federal agencies, state legislature, Congress? Dealt with all of them. As a matter of fact, let's see, how shall I put it? I've worked in all of them too. I've worked in states and federal government. So I've learned to build relationships with all of them, county governments. I've worked in all the areas of government. Could you give me an example? Example, yeah. I worked for the Department of Commerce in the federal government. That's one. I'm a member of ICMA, the International City Managers Association, for 40-something years. Thank you. Oh, have you appeared before legislative committees? I have. As a matter of fact, when I was here, we were having problems in, I think it was 83, 84. Mayor Cook will know because we had to go to Washington trying to get the ships up out on the lake. I've testified in Congress. I also got that building across the street that was a $4 million building. We got it for $90,000. Testified before state governments, state of California. Thank you.
Commissioner Singleton.
Have you been an active participant in the activities of the Michigan Municipal League, other state leagues, the Michigan City Management Association, International City Managers Association, or other professional organizations devoted to local government?
Yes, I have. 40-something years with ICMA and in the state municipal league in each city where I've worked. And I've worked in about 11.
Commissioner Harrelson.
Have you had any experience in the field of public work?
Yes, I have. Matter of fact, I've been a public works director. And as a consultant and hired the public works director when I left there, and he stayed there until he passed away.
What is the extent of your experience, and did it cover the following: street maintenance and construction, operating maintenance and construction of utilities, supervisor of construction project?
My project management skills are unlimited. I have built a golf course. I have managed 3 million square feet of government buildings. That's why I'm so passionate about someone over time sitting here and not fixing up the buildings. 200 Paw, the Armory. Those are buildings. It hurts to see those buildings not cared for. And that's because I've been doing it, been responsible for it.
Thank you.
Commissioner Edwards.
15, do you know how to put together a general obligation bond issue?
I've been responsible for putting the bond issues together, yes. Most recently was a $9.4 million bond issue to build a new city hall and fire station in one of the cities that I ran.
Thank you.
Do you have any experience in land use planning and zoning requirements?
As city manager, as you know, I'm part of the planning commission.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Seats.
Why did you apply for this position?
Not only apply for this position, you know what I did? I picked up and moved from Richmond, Virginia before I got this position in hopes that I would get this position so that I could help this city.
Thank you. So that concludes the,
There's one more.
Commissioner Henry already asked that question. That was the first question.
Yes, sir.
Confusion, don't even remember what the answer was.
So this brings us to questions that the city council would like to ask based on prerogative. I would like to ask that we limit it to one. I'd like to start with Commissioner Henry.
Sir, how would you handle new corporations that come in the city to create businesses without promising jobs for Benton Harbor residents?
They wouldn't come in here.
I beg your pardon?
They wouldn't come in here. I wouldn't recommend them to you if they came in here and said they were not going to hire city residents.
Then there has to be some checks and balances if they're you have to verify. Can you explain the process of verifying that Benton Harbor residents are employed?
Not just Benton Harbor residents employed. We've got to get training for our Benton Harbor residents so that they can be employable. Okay? So that's one thing that we've got to do before then. And then we've got to start the process of making sure that they get the jobs. I've said several times, nothing is supposed to be done in this city without somebody on this staff being involved with what they're doing, knowing what they're doing, and shall I say monitoring, but being involved in that process of them all the way through. And then that comes back to me. So that's why the other night when we were talking about the new business that was coming in, that lady right over there was involved in what they were doing from the beginning. And that's how we work with businesses. That's how we work with anybody that's coming in here doing anything. And if they don't, I don't recommend them to you. You can vote on them if you want them, but I won't recommend them.
Thank you, sir.
Commissioner Harrelson, do you have any questions?
I don't know if it would be a question, a comment on, how would you go about, I know the citizen would love to see a grocery store brought to Benton Harbor. And how would you, implement something to get that?
You know, Ellis Mitchell would like to see a grocery store in Benton Harbor also. We're getting ready to grow, getting ready to explode, hopefully. And part of that explosion has to be a grocery store. How to go about it, I don't know right now, but I will. And first, I put it in the universe that we want it.
Thank you.
Commissioner Edwards.
Yes. We have city workers, all of them, that need help. What do you see as far as keeping them here as a competitive package?
First thing is training. First thing, when I say training, that includes an evaluation process, that includes knowing what the employees' capabilities are, what their backgrounds are, and that's gonna come, I can't let my secret out on that yet, but that's gonna come where I know everybody intimately, what their skills are, and I know most of them already, okay? 6 months, you get to learn a lot. But then the evaluation process, and then a plan if a person needs help. You notice I haven't fired anybody, haven't talked about firing anybody, haven't really talked about hiring except for in positions where they're needed. That's because I like to come into the community and build the employment out of the people and build those employees to be the people that manage the city. They already have relationships with the people in the community. So why not build them up, help them? I want to get everybody to training, a training program for everybody. Department heads need to be not only going to the state, they need to be in federal organizations. They need to meet other people. The employees who are not supervisors, they need to know who their counterparts are in the other communities. Know who they are, call them and talk about what we're doing over here, what are you doing over there? That's building that employment base. And I don't care how long a person wants to work for the city. If they feel they have gotten to maximize their capability and they want to go someplace else, know what that is? An opportunity for somebody else in the community to be hired.
Thank you.
Chairman recognizes Commissioner Singleton.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor. Mr. Mitchell, I know you've been here for 6 months, plus you was here some other times. And we've talked a lot about growing the businesses and things, but do you have any ideal or initiatives that you would do for the inner city?
I definitely do. But they will be talked with the commission first before they are announced to the public. There'll be commission initiatives.
Chairman recognizes Commissioner Isom.
Mr. Mitchell, what's your vision for the city in 5 years?
5 years is a good number. First thing we need to do is get this master plan off of the table and get it into action. That's the first thing we need to do. And then, and it's not going from here to 5. It's going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Planning each year. Evaluating that plan, making sure we've done what we said we were going to do, and then adding more work to it and getting better as we go.
Chairman recognizes Commissioner Adams.
Thank you. The last statement that you just made, I really appreciate that. A statement and followed up with a question. I really appreciate the fact that when you first came in as city interim, that you showed this community how serious you were about an open door policy, and it started with that door that leads to the hallway where the residents, the taxpayers, enter the city manager's office by the removal of something that should not have been there, that costed, and it may not have been that much, but for all that we've just endured, that you missed out on, a lot of marching, protesting, emergency management, all that. I sincerely hope that the master plan that needs to take place consists of Benton Harbor residents and city council and business people that are within the community. I hope that it consists of us putting the plan that we see for our community, meaning that the hopes and dreams and goals of the taxpayers that have brought this city this far actually matters.
First.
And that they are being counted within the plans for their community before building a relationship with anybody else. But it's a good start because it needs to happen. I mean, partnering and, you know, and sitting at the table. I was also glad to hear you say something about training and that this council will be a part of putting something together. But I gotta say that I don't think it's fair because we've had a lot of conversations that I think I'm hoping that you're not just giving us something that we want to hear, but you have shown, you have actually exhibited that you are open to listening and compromise. And I like that. And we need that in someone that's working and holding such an office. I like the fact that you were passionate about the armory and Paw and that you see and have visions for them, because it's a lot of fighting that you may not be aware of that went on to hold on to those assets. So I would hope that this committee, this council would have great say so in that as well. We are by the majority of a vote. But it troubles me when we passed upon a large amount of money for as long as we have been sitting back talking and knowing that grant writers is an asset that we need. When one was brought to the table, we missed a very important appointment this month, but the year is still young. And I'm going to give benefit of doubt because another opportunity came up and we need to look at all avenues, and I'm okay with that. But somewhere we will compromise and we can work together. And I guess I'm remembering all your answers, and I gotta be frank, they were good. I'll just leave it with the statements I made. Thank you.
Thank you, but let me say this about answers. They're not answers that I expect that you want to hear. They're coming from my heart.
Okay.
There's an old saying, what you do speaks so loudly I can't hear what you say. So that's what I look for. I look for what you're doing, not what you're saying.
Mayor Pro Tem Seats.
Question that I have is this, and it's very, very, many city managers have been terminated because of the trash contract. What will you do in the future to make sure that we don't have a situation like we had before? And do you mind working under the will and pleasure of the commission? Thank you.
The will and pleasure of the commission is the only way to work. This is your city. It's mine now too. But that's the only way to work. I'm not here to be just, this is Ellis Mitchell and I'm gonna do what I wanna do. That's why I've been asking for a retreat, so we can sit down and get together. Now, let's talk about, you asked me about city managers being fired. Most managers will say if a manager hasn't been fired, he hasn't done anything. That's the nature of the beast. The other thing is, let me see, how am I gonna answer this? I want to, the lifespan of a manager in this profession, what it averages out to be? 3.4 years. Okay, regardless of how good you are. And I know some good ones, and I know this one. Okay, but if 5 of you decide you don't want me, I'll tell you goodbye. I don't want to work for anybody that doesn't want me to work for them.
Shut up.
Okay?
Cut it out.
Yeah, I want to work with you, and hopefully you want to work with me. So, and as far as managers, let me tell you, city managers aren't born. City managers trained. And I've been through a lot of training. And I'm running a company here. I'm running a major company. And you can't just take somebody and put them in there and call them a city manager. Okay? You gotta understand that. And this emergency manager thing, it's a farce as far as I'm concerned. Okay? It was an attempt. It was an attempt, as far as I'm concerned, to destroy small and minority cities.
Amen.
I'm trained to be a city manager. You're a preacher. That's your calling. This is my calling.
Pro Mayor Pro Tem Seats.
Thank you. What the point of clarity I want to put the question, what the will and pleasure is, and you did at the ending state that. So I do yield the rest of my time to you, Honorable Mayor, but you did understand the question after you went from the beginning. So thank you.
Thank you, City Council and Mr. Mitchell, for your candid answers. I would like to ask you, since you have returned out of a time machine, what is your assessment as it relates to where the city was in 1986, or that period 82 to 86, in terms of opportunity? And where do you see, or how would you assess or compare that to 2020? And what is the major ingredient that you can add to move the city forward?
That's a very good question, Mayor. Let me go back to the future. Let's do it by comparison. And that's what I use to determine that I really wanted to come back here. I wasn't here physically year after year, day after day, year after year, but I've been back here many times since I left. I fished, and I had fishing buddies. I had friends that I came back and hung out with. This is a nice area. But also, I use my city management eye to look at what's going on in this city and comparing it to what was going on across the river in the rest of the area. And that is what really drove me to want to come back. Because I remember when Benton Harbor was here, St. Joe was here. I come back and I see Benton Harbor moved to here, and I see St. Joe's exploding. And I say, what the hell was happening? Was somebody asleep at the wheel? So that's what, and that goes back to the opportunities. Opportunities in the world have changed because of technology. In Harvard, opportunities are great and greater than they were then. We've got to harness those things. We've got to market what we have. We've got to tell the world what we have. We can't just sit here and let it be. We got to go out and grab it and make it. We got to know what we want to know, what we want to do first. We got to make sure our house is in order first. And then we've got to go out and tell the world we're ready.
Thank you for your response. This brings us to the resolution that is before the city council. I want to read it word by word. Resolution to appoint city manager for the city of Benton Harbor. Whereas on August 27, 2019, the city of Benton Harbor advertised for the job of city manager. And whereas on December 18, 2019, the Personnel and Finance Committee recommended 2 persons be interviewed, confirmed by the City Commission on January 6, 2020. And whereas subsequently on January 15, 2020, Personnel and Finance Committee recommended that the interviewing take place of the candidates on January 29, 2020 at a special City Commission meeting. And whereas of the 2 candidates, only one of them, Ellis Mitchell, interviewed for the position. And whereas it was determined that Ellis Mitchell met the requirements, qualifications for the position. Now therefore be it resolved that Mayor Muhammad and the Benton Harbor City Commission approves the appointment of Ellis E. Mitchell to the position of city manager for the city of Benton Harbor. Be it further resolved that the Personnel and Finance Committee's chairperson, Isom, and co-chairperson, Singleton, will negotiate the terms of employment with Ellis E. Mitchell and submit the proposed agreement to the full City Commission for final approval.
Motion to approve.
Motion is made by Commissioner Adams and it is supported by Commissioner Harrelson. Is there discussion?
Question?
Chairman recognizes Second Ward Commissioner Edwards.
I did have a couple of more questions. And if I think this is as important as we say it is, then I don't think we should be rushing to get out of here. Rushing? I got a couple more questions.
Well, Commissioner Edwards, we operate, and I know that you are new in this position, but based on, order of the agenda and the part for questioning, we had 18 questions and each commissioner was given an opportunity to ask a separate question outside of the interview questions. So at this time, we have passed from the interviewing aspect of the agenda to the approval of the appointment. So a motion has been made, it has been seconded. So do you have a question or a response as it relates to
Response.
Thank you.
These questions that we read off, I could have found them in here. So that's why I came up with separate questions that ain't on here. If I would have knew we were just asking questions that I seen in here, we didn't even have to have a special meeting. We could have just came in and voted them in and that's it. So these are questions that we all could find here. These are just separate questions that I had. A couple of them come from residents. So to deprive the residents of answers is kind of gets why I ran. And I ran to give those questions and to get the answers so I can take them back to the residents. Now, if I go back to the residents, either I gotta tell them the truth or either I gotta lie to them. I gotta tell them, oh, those questions, they came, you could have found them in here. Or I gotta go back to them and tell them what? I can't answer them. Then that takes the power out of the commission. Am I right or wrong?
You right, but you wrong.
How you can't be right and wrong. You either
Because
right or you wrong. That's the way I was.
You're right that you need to, respond to the residents, but the timing in which you're trying to bring your questions is the wrong time. This is to vote on the appointment based on the resolution that was read.
I thought it was based on the interview, my,
We passed the interviewing portion, Mr. Edwards.
I'm done.
Thank you. Chair recognizes Mayor Pro Tem Seats.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor. Just as a point of clarity, I would just ask the commission that we do sincerely do look for an assistant city manager just in case. And I would also ask that we plan futuristic. I do appreciate the opportunity for Mr. Mitchell to serve in this position, but I think that it behooves us to also look for a high-powered assistant to help him out, so we don't run into a situation where we're caught again, looking or searching, and maybe he can train somebody to live up to the big shoes that I have to fill after he's no longer with us. I do find it as a phenomenal opportunity for Mr. Mitchell, but I would ask us in the further future hiring that we do a better job of getting information out to the nation. And we know how the process went, which I have no problem with that. I'm not disputing any hiring practice, but I would ask of Mr. Mitchell in the future when it comes to hiring the other positions that we look for national or statewide talent. We didn't even have to go through questions tonight, which I do appreciate this body, but we already had this mapped out at 7 o'clock. So I do appreciate it from my Personnel and Finance Committee. But I would ask that when it comes to hiring a finance director or other positions that we, or attorney or whatever, next, or an assessor, whatever's next, that we do maximize the capabilities of everybody and not just a couple people. Thank you.
Chairman recognizes Commissioner Adams.
Thank you. I concur with the statement my colleague mentioned about city manager assistant or deputy city manager. And just to keep it real simple, if that's something that personnel and finance can take care of on their agenda and iron it out with whatever it takes. Other than that, I call for the question.
Madam Clerk.
This is on the actual resolution. Commissioner Isa,
Yes.
Commissioner Edwards,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Seats,
Yes.
Commissioner Singleton,
Yes.
Commissioner Harrelson,
Yes.
Commissioner Adams,
Yes.
Commissioner Henry,
Yes.
Mayor Muhammad.
Yes.
Motion carries.
This brings us to staff reports. Chair recognizes the City Attorney.
I believe next Wednesday at the Legislative Committee, we are going to be discussing recreational marijuana. So with the committee members, I know that we've sent out examples of the recreational ordinances in the state. Everyone can take a look at those. So when I come in, we can have some questions and we can kind of figure out what the city wants as it relates to its medical we want to talk about number of facilities, which type of facilities. There are several types of facilities that are separate and distinct for recreational than medical. We've got some cities now who are combining their medical and the recreational marijuana ordinances, so we can talk about doing that. We are just about ready to have, we've got about, I think, 14 total applications for the provisioning centers for medical. We wanted to give everyone every opportunity to make sure that their applications were complete. We started off with none of the applicants having provided a complete application and have failing from the various 5 department heads. We're up to, I think, 9 who have now been approved by all the department heads, and we're giving the other 5 one last opportunity to be compliant with the ordinance, and then we plan on providing the applications to the commissioners with as much time to review, and we're hoping to get it on the agenda in the next couple of weeks for the commissioners to take a look at. The grievances that were talked about the last meeting or the month ago, 3 weeks ago, my office is taking control, and we're talking to the union's attorney, and so they're being handled as of this moment.
Thank you. Chair recognizes our Community and Economic Development Director, Director Jennings.
No report this evening, Your Honor.
Chairman recognizes the City Clerk, Clerk Thompson.
No report this evening, Your Honor.
And the Chairman recognizes the newly appointed City Manager of the City of Benton Harbor. None other than Mr. Ellis E. Mitchell. You have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Commission. I want to thank you very much for this appointment. And I want to make sure that you know that you've done the right thing by the work we are going to do. Well, you haven't seen anything yet. I couldn't pull out all my guns as an interim. They will start soon. Now, I want to just say, with that thanks, I was a little bit hesitant about sitting up here. I said, they're going to make me interview. But you know what? I'm glad you did, because you needed to hear what's in me. You need to hear who I really am. I think you have a better idea now. And the residents who are here and anybody that's listening, they can hear. This is work. And I told my staff, I fail recess, because when I start doing the work, I'm on the work. Now, I'll laugh and joke, but I don't play with your business. Okay? I'm entrusted, and I'm going to deliver. We are going to send a schedule to you on the marijuana. We've gotten a proposal from Height. We talked about the company that we visited that's looking at the armory. We've got that proposal in today. We haven't had a chance to vet it. So that's when we do that, that will be coming to the committee. The other thing is, I want to be talking with you, Mayor, about restructuring some things with the commission so that they'll be a little bit more involved and hopefully it'll flow a little better. For instance, one thing is having a session before we come on the floor so we can intimately look at what's on the agenda. but I want to work with you on the agenda so that we know what's on the agenda and the clerk. And there are no hits and misses. We cover the whole thing. I'll talk to you about that, and I'll be talking with the rest of the committee. Really getting to be a working group. So I thank you very much. You won't be disappointed.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. The chairman recognizes Commissioner of the Fourth Ward, Harrelson.
Thank you, Your Honorable Mayor. I'd like to congratulate our new city manager. I remember when we had two city managers, one hung himself. Yeah, and the other one left town and called back and said, I quit. So we hope this don't happen. So we hope this doesn't happen, but I've been here long enough to know that's what have been in the past. So I congratulate you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Chairman recognizes Commissioner of the Third Ward, Henry.
Thank you. Welcome, sir.
Thank you.
Glad to
ma'am.
have you on board officially.
Thank you.
My question is about the process. Where did we get these questions from? And why were we limited to ask our own questions to one? I felt like it was just a hamstring strap to limit me to ask one question when I had more than one question to ask. And so I would like to get an answer as to where these questions come from and who decided to only give me one question to ask. And the other comment I wanted to make was, one time in committee, we talked about having a subcommittee coming out of personnel and finance to negotiate or to work out the last minute details for the city manager position. And I'm wondering if we're going to continue to, are we going to plan to do this? Or exactly how are we going to do the last of his employment agreement? And I'll wait for whoever can answer me. Thank you.
Thank you. Chair recognizes Second Ward Commissioner Edwards.
Do I not get an answer for any of those questions?
I'll respond in my comments.
Thank you.
Welcome, I guess it would be the second time, right? Welcome to City Manager Ellis. Congratulations. Look forward to working with you. Had wonderful conversations with you anyway, especially the one we had with Harold Washington and all that thing. But my report to the full body is to kind of let you know that if we go through this again, I'm gonna come up with the same questions. I want to know, and it kind of goes with what third ward alder commissioner was saying. I got a question. If I'm a commissioner and I'm representing my ward, they give me questions to ask, and this is not to city manager person, it's anyone. They give me questions to ask. And if I'm not allowed to ask those questions, then I'm failing my residents. And if I'm failing my residents, then I am failing the city. And if I'm going to fail them, knowing that I can't do it, I prefer to resign. Because the residents deserve better than what we're giving them. So if that's the case, and I'm talking about the residents that I spoke to, I'm not talking about the city as a whole. I ran for second ward. So when the second ward comes to me and asks me to ask questions, I'm going to ask those questions. Now, if we can't have time to ask those questions, then why do we run and say that we represent the citizens if we can't ask questions that the citizens want answers to? I need an answer on that one. Either email, telephone, the alley, anywhere. I'm done.
Chair recognizes Commissioner at Large Singleton.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor. I'd like to also welcome you aboard, Mr. Smith, City Manager. Kind of remind me of, I just read an article about a baseball manager that returned back to the game, Dusty Baker. So, yes, you know, you kind of like started here and you know, back again to, you know, hope to see great things and looking forward to working with you. I do see a compassion, you know, for this city and in you. So looking forward to see that manifest into some great things for our city. Personnel Finance Committee, a long time ago, I guess, these things have been, you know, the process of some of it started before I got here. I think of some of the similar processes and some of the hiring. So, I mean, I know you can't get everything in, but you know, you try to get some of a little bit of everybody. So, you know, it's no, I guess, cookie cutter deal or something. So you have to just put, you know, things together and try to get something out of it. So I'm sure Commissioner Iceman, he's the chair of the committee, worked very hard. And, not gonna please everybody. You know, the thing is to try to, again, just do the best you can do and try to get the best candidate, you know. So that's just how it works. Public Safety Committee, we meet on the second Wednesday of each month. A lot of things going on, like the new manager said, things are about to, you know, explode. So get to those meetings, and you know, that's where the citizens definitely have a chance to ask a lot of questions. And so we're looking forward to see you at those committee meetings.
Thank you. Chairman recognizes Commissioner at Large Iceman.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor. I want to thank everybody for coming out to witness this occasion. Welcome, congratulations, City Manager Mitchell. You know, you got a passion for the city. You know, you want to move, you got a willingness to move this city forward. I can tell. I'm glad we did have an interview. You know, you got to trust the process. You know, and it's what you get when you trust the process. You get a vote like this. We came together and united to get us a city manager that's stable, to move this city forward. And that's what we did, and we did it together tonight. Good interview coming out of Personnel Finance, Commissioner Singleton and I, and the citizen reps, Personnel Finance. You know, it takes time. We went through the process, took a couple months, but it's what you get. You get a city manager with a suit on with a tie, sitting up there smiling, and it's what you get. So I can see Ben Harbor moving forward. Good things gonna happen. Thank you.
Chair recognizes Commissioner at Large Adams.
Thank you. Welcome, City Manager Mitchell. Just a brief short story. Back in 99, I opened up a beauty shop on the corner of May and Colfax. And a whole lot of conversations started because I was running specials, and I mean, they was coming in. I got a chance to hear from a whole bunch of people running $10 specials too. It was my opportunity. I was younger. I could move faster and was able to perform my tasks and duties of what I'm good at, being a professional licensed cosmetologist. I heard the cries of the community. I had no idea that I would later on, 10 years later, be sitting in a seat representing the whole community at large. Not one term, not two terms, but for a third time. And I began to tell them, I wanted to know what was going on around here, that the city was falling apart. They said, we don't know, go down there and find out, because all they do is argue. I didn't come down here to be arguing. I found myself standing over there when the commission was up here crying all the time at a podium about what is wrong with us as a people that we can't come together and make something happen for our community. And I told the people then, don't trust me. Because I believe in a creator that has told me don't trust no man, and I don't. But I trust him that leadeth me, and I allow to use me. I speak for the whole community, and I've heard them lately as to what's taking y'all so long to hire this man. I went and asked him a question, and he told me I couldn't answer, I couldn't do that. That's a long-term effect of something. And I got it. We only have an interim. We need a city manager, and there you sit. Congratulations, sir. An experienced one. Not just in Benton Harbor, but beyond here. I was good at what I did everywhere I've been too. I want to thank you, congratulate you, and hope that you will serve us as well as we can be served. We're all only human. We're all subject to error. Some of us may slide off a pole anytime. Oh. I don't know where that came from. But see, laughter, that just proves that laughter is good for the soul. And we can be professional about things. I mean, but that some people have those type of jobs, and I'm sure they're professionals at it. And they can fall off at any time. I'm not putting nobody down. Okay? Okay, I did the best I could. But I just want to say that in the midst of it all, we have made some strides. Whether individuals can feel it or not, Benton Harbor is on the rise. Get on board or jump off the ship or be thrown off. Thank you.
Thank you. Chairman recognizes Mayor Pro Tem's seats.
I'm glad the blood still works.
Oh, it works.
My God. After 20 years, hopefully I can still moment. I don't have to climb no more. So I do for probably the last 15 to 16 years, I've heard your name from one of our very astute politicians. I'll call him the Dean of Politics, the Honorable Mayor Wilson Cook, who this building is named after. He's recommended you for a number of years, even though you wasn't here for the job. So, and pretty much only thing Mr. Cook got to do is nod his head, and we pretty much do what he tells us to do. And I do commend you for what you've done so far, and I look forward to working with you in the future. And I pray that, I mean, this, when it comes to, you've been around long enough to know that nothing's personal unless you make it. I don't have a problem working with you. I told you that to your face, and I told you behind your back. I don't have a problem working with you. I just hope that in the future that, we have a clear line of communication. That's enough about you. I hope when I get down to 24 seconds, let me know. Because at that time, I'm going to stop talking and honor Kobe Bryant. This world was devastated by the loss of an icon, a great. And not only lost him, but he lost his daughter and other people that was a part of that situation. So life is too short. Life is, if he probably can do it all over again, I bet he would try a whole lot of things different. So, and I'm not talking to you, what I'm saying, and I'm talking to everybody. You never know what tomorrow holds. So I don't want to go to sleep with nothing in my heart against nobody, because you never know what's going to happen tomorrow. And some of us are too old our behavior, because tomorrow definitely, and the people are dying old and young. So don't think because we clap our hands that we definitely have a designation. As you said, you're a city manager, my job is a preacher. But every day we should make sure that we got our ducks in a row, as the world calls it, because you never know what tomorrow holds. There's people dying tragically. There's people dying in our community. So I just hope in the future that we don't take that for granted dealing with each other. And the thing that I noticed the most at that last meeting, and let me know, please, clerk, everybody else seemed to pay attention to what the other one was saying and respected what they were saying. That joint meeting that we had, and I hope that we can at least listen to what the next person is saying, and then we can probably get some understanding on their heart. Thank you.
So, Madam Clerk, I'm going to, in honor of his number 8, stop at 8 seconds. I'd like to congratulate City Manager Mr. Mitchell for your appointment. I do want to read something, a quote from Genghis Khan. This is translated into English. It says, "Conquering the world on horseback is easy. It is dismounting and governing that is hard." And the author of that quote is again Genghis Khan. So I want to assure you that as the mayor of this city, I'll do all within my power, within the powers of the office, to make sure that not just that you're successful, because when you're successful, we're successful. So I look forward to working with you across the hall. I'd like to recognize our Honorable Mayor Cook, who carries the namesake of this building. There is a scene from The Godfather where there was a public testimony and the person being questioned was being dissuaded because somebody came from Italy and they sat in the audience to sway the court. So thank you for your presence tonight. I would like to also announce the City Council will be traveling to Frankenmuth, not all but some, for the Elected Officials Academy. That'll be on February 28th and 29th, where we will be attending workshops with other elected officials. This is being put on by the Michigan Municipal League. So through the city manager's office, that was conducted, and I look forward to learning as much as possible. I would also like to just kind of horsey back off of Mayor Pro Tem seats in terms of, the fragile aspect of life, where life is but a vapor. And we don't know the hour, we don't know the time. We walk out of the house, we don't know if we're going to return. So I just ask that this body, we do all that we can to respect and cherish the time that we have with one another. I've been watching the proceedings in Washington closely, the impeachment trial, where the Democrats and the Republicans are arguing and fighting and wrangling over the rule of law, and each side bent on their position. And I think that they're giving us a very textbook method and way to destroy your own government by arguing and fighting one another. Thank you. I entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Four.
You didn't answer my question, Mayor.
I will.
Oh, you.
Commissioner Adams,
Yes.
Commissioner Henry,
No.
Commissioner Singleton,
Yes.
Commissioner Ison,
Yes.
Commissioner Harold,
Yeah.
We gotta stay.
Commissioner Edwards,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Yes. So we gotta stay here.
Yes.
No, you ain't gotta stay here. You ain't gotta stay
There's
here.
no adjournment, so we gotta stay here. Am I gonna get some?
The mayor is a smooth guy. He'll tell me he gonna answer my question, but when you gonna answer my question? You are such. I am you bullying people. I'm sick of these bullying people, man. That was not necessary. You knew I wanted to answer, and you gonna not answer my question?
These questions.
I didn't ask my question just for me to know. And it's not appropriate for you to tell me you're gonna do something and don't do it. That's called lying.
Thank you for your continued.
That's called lying, Marcus. That's called lying, Marcus.
Hey, oh, we gotta get this submitted or keep it?
Laptop.
It's so damn dysfunctional, you don't know who to be. Who gonna talk? Give it to Kim, your phone. You want it? Give it to Kim.
You got it?
Yeah, I got it.
What can I?
So let's call me tomorrow.
Okay.
How you make that happen?
All right, I gotta come in.
I don't want you to answer my question. I want to get on the people here. I already know, he already told me. I know. I look for you because I was training. Yeah. All right, we get together.
The one that makes the most noise. They say again, if you get an issue, it makes a lot of noise. Even if make it make sense. They didn't make that much noise when they said when they were doing nothing, to tear the city up. But now they want to hold this man to blame. city manager material.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he had plenty of knowledge and experience.
First thing that made me upset about it, you put a film over the window,
Yeah,
you can't see.
and see,
And
people,
it's all, when you got something to hide, you put a
yeah,
cover over it.
and the people know,
And the people know
they
that.
do, and they go talk to that man.
And they did everything they could to keep him up. Now they want something that's failing the city, this thing, but then they gonna hold this man to a higher level.
They had to come
But
together.
God moved
See
everything
that?
over,
It
so
took
he
his time.
can do it.